Hello, I'm Nicolas Desprez, and today for Christmas I will show you how you can build your own Chrome extension. So I'm a program architect at Salesforce, and also since recently I'm extension publisher of an extension I called SF Explorer or Self Explorer. On the talk today is going to be called "Oh, I Met Web Extensions." So the objective is for you to understand better the architecture and the overall possibilities, to understand the ecosystem on the most popular applications. At the end, we'll deep dive on I will show you a manual on steps for you to get further. And yes, you can do it. If I can do it, you can certainly do it. Okay, so this is a reference to a TV show I really liked. And if I told you like Ted, I was an architect, what would you think, right? So this is a reference to the show. And something else I liked about the show is some quotes like this one. Sometimes we search for one thing, but we discover another. And you see why I have put this quote here. Because of my journey at Salesforce, right? So I started with Salesforce about a year and a half ago, and didn't know much about Salesforce. But when I started my first assignment as CSG, I needed to understand some organizations, and sometimes it was hard for me to grasp the complexity of an org. Just jumping in, there was an org on an assignment I did back in November last year. That was on Omni Studio. There was a lot of OmniScript I could not understand, so I decided to build a tool for me to better understand the OmniScript. And there was a first tool I designed back in the days that was called OmniScript Explorer. Later on, I started another assignment on the client asked me about insurance products. And they say that they found it was challenging for them to understand the product structure because of its complexity, right? Different layers and so on. And so I told them about this tool I had done a few months back about the OmniScript, and saying maybe we can do something similar, right, for product. And they like the idea, and so I developed something for them that I called the insurance product explorer. So into this approach, and this was a managed package I started to publish and to give to a number of folks. Some of them started to use it. On the feedback I got, it was actually on March 6th. You got it here. Was like, okay, it's a cool stuff you've done, but I can't install it, right? Because I'm working into government, and I can't install third-party managed package, right? And I have to be admin and so on. So we discussed, and we said, like, maybe you should do a Chrome extension. So that's how it's all started, right? Last March. A few months later, I started another assignment, and I had a challenge, right, to compare different flexi pages. I asked around and said, well, is this something that exists? Can I do that with some tools? And the answer was no. So I decided to build a tool to be able to compare different flexi pages, and that was the first feature of SF Explorer, right? So to be able to compare flexi pages. Later on, last summer, started to add some more features. On the last October, I published the first version. That's version 1 of SF Explorer. So that's there. And today, released a new package of SF Explorer to specialize into the setup announcement. I can share with you some insight on that today. And I have about 250 users. That's interesting. On the goal for that, after I looked at it, the goal is to work on a unified design for Salesforce setup, and it's a pretty important ID in ID exchange. So the agenda is what are Chrome extensions. I will show you some examples of extensions. I will tell you about the reason I built, the reason you should build your extensions, right? And after that, I will tell you the reasons I built Salesforce Explorer on about the architecture. And at the end, we'll show you some code, and you see detail about that. Okay, so part one: what are Chrome extensions or web extensions? Because it's more general than Chrome. So there are software programs that runs on your browser, right, to customize your browsing experience. And they are used to provide things like the productivity tools. They can provide web page content enrichment and information aggregation. So why should you develop extensions or your own extensions? The top reasons are like it's fairly easy to develop. So it's mainly JavaScript and HTML. And you can use the Salesforce design system to have a user experience that's very close to what you have within Salesforce. With extension, you have access to the whole open source environment. So a lot of cool things that you can reuse that can bring new capabilities to what you're doing. It's course ready, so it's kind of helping in some technical details as well. When you want to do things, for example, like multi-org, it's very easy to do. You have native UX, meaning like you can use native shortcuts on your browser. You can use the storage of your browser, the panel, and so on. So little like the difference between a web application and a native application you have on your phone. It's a native capability. That's very interesting. In terms of deployment, it's fairly cool. You have automatic updates. There is no need for you to be admin of your org to install it or use it. So you just need to have it on your extension. It's a single installation for all of your orgs. You don't have to do like you do in manage package to do the manual install. The security review is fairly fast. It takes about a day for my extension, so it's very fast. It's almost free, so I paid $5 to be publisher. If you want to have your extension required at organization level, it's possible, definitely. We have this here at Salesforce. You can forbid the number of extensions you don't want for your employees, or you can restrict the access if you want to do your own extension and you want anyone to see this. That's possible. So a number of options. That's very cool. Here's an example of shortcuts you can define, and I have put into the SF Explorer extension. So you can go into the shortcut inside of Chrome, and you can define your own shortcuts. And it's very native, so all extensions can define that in just a declarative way. So it's very cool. Okay, I'll show you some example of cool extension I found. And well, that's legendary, right? Like what Barney would say, but there is about 180,000 extensions out there. So a lot of stuff. It's a big community, right? Most of this is for productivity and for photos and so on. There are a number of developer tools as well. So people like me, we like to call these developer tools. It's to increase our productivity, but see, it's about 10,000 of them. So pretty cool. I will show you some extensions. I found the Cornify, right? It's very useless extension that makes unicorns into your browser. So very useless, but show you the capability, right? You can directly interact with the web page, so you can put unicorn into your Salesforce page. That's what it does. So as an example, there is a dark night mode, which makes any website using a dark mode fairly interesting, because this is something you cannot do with Salesforce, and sometimes for accessibility that can be interesting to have. There is Refine GitHub. I found it interesting. It's open source, and there is a lot of cool stuff that was put into this. As you can see, there is about 70,000 users of that, and I started to use it myself. And it's very interesting, the options on the strategy they used behind the scene for that extension. There is the React Developer Tools, which is very cool. 4 million users just for developer tool. It's extremely popular. And this one is interesting because it reused the developer capabilities of the browser. So really, when you do developer tools, the F12, this is what they extended, right? To add some capabilities for you to debug your React application. So give me some ideas as well for what I was doing. There is a fake filler, and there is Great BI. Some productivity tools as well for user, right? To write documentation. On the other one, to fill forms in an automated manner, if you want. So found that cool, and gave me some ideas on stuff I was doing. On Salesforce, there are some user extensions. There is an extension that Salesforce provides that reads the email you have when you have Gmail open. So it's pretty powerful what you can do with extension. You can read the cookies of your browser. You can interact with the Google servers, retrieve emails, and then put that back into Salesforce, just like this, easy. There is Pickit, I found interesting. That's add some information into your Salesforce org. For example, here it will add information on the stage, opportunity stage, right? So it's used for onboarding. So give me some ideas on things, on possibilities you can do. So it's really endless, right? A lot of options. So this is more towards the admin extension, right? People do. So most of the users, they use Salesforce Inspector or Salesforce Inspector Reloaded, but there are other extensions. The one I use personally is force.com logins. I use every day, and that's very helpful for me. And obviously I use Salesforce Explorer, which is the one I developed. But there are other ones, like this one is cool, like the formula editor. So basically you go into your setup, and instead of having the traditional formula editor provided by default by Salesforce, you have this enhanced formula editor with color, filling, with there is suggestion and so on that's provided by this extension. So fairly cool. I made two categories I used to below before. So there is an extension I call intrusive. So basically it injects code everywhere without you interacting with them. So this is the case, for example, with Salesforce Inspector. So every time you go into a Salesforce org, if you have it enabled, it will go and add this logo without you asking. So it can be scary because you don't know what it does, right, behind the scene. There is automatic update and this is adding stuff into your web page. You don't know the impact it can have in some case. I try to do something that I call non-intrusive with Salesforce Explorer, being like you don't have anything into your Salesforce org unless you ask for it, right? So there will be an action you do to either open the Salesforce Explorer in a new window, or you can have some actions like show LWC info that will inject some code. But that's when you decide, right? It's not like every time adding stuff into your pages. So it's more control for the user. Okay, I'll give you some reasons to make your extension. So the first thing you need to do is to make it for you, right? You make it for you to be more productive, to learn something new, and to do something that does not exist or does not satisfy you. That's what Barney will say. That's cool. That's for you to be hired by Barney. And the caution is get ready to be criticized, right? Because people don't necessarily will see that as useful. On the the review can be sometimes harsh. So get ready to work extra time, because this is time consuming. I can tell you. So there is a quiz you can take. I mean, we use during this presentation for you to collect information about the extension you use. Most people, as expected, they use Salesforce Inspector, right? But there are other options out there, and I suggest you you have a look at others. So I'll tell you about Salesforce Explorer, on why I've developed it. So since I joined Salesforce, I was as a newcomer, right? I was asking questions, right? Like how can I use the dark mode? How can I compare FlexiPage? How can I document my LWC component? And the answer was always, that's impossible. No, you cannot do that, and so on. So then I remember what Barney said. So there is a place where the possible and the impossible meet to become the possible. If you haven't seen this, I suggest you have a look at the season 4 episode 14 of Why I Met Your Mother. This is hilarious. I explain all of that in a resume he's doing, and that's my favorite episode. So I put this reference here, but this is a bit the principle here within Salesforce I try to apply. So on one hand you have the possible, on the other hand you have the impossible. On what Barney would call it the possible, his new one is like you put the impossible into the possible to create this new dimension. That's fairly interesting as a principle. I try to apply that.
All my life.
Okay, so in action, this is what you see. The possible. You have a dark mode for Salesforce. You have some integration, right, of GitHub and Jira here on the other end. And what I've done, I modified the Salesforce page to show LWC information. Know a little bit about the Salesforce Explorer functionalities. So there is a full documentation website. This is some of the features. This is not all of the features. What I'm trying to do is add something that's with a strong foundation, technical foundation. As an architect, I have something layered natively. It was supposed to be multi-org, so being able to address with the same UI multiple orgs, and that's something I could not find anywhere else. And I decided this was important to me. And then, as I needed stuff, for my own projects, I started to implement that because I was basically not satisfied with, for example, the current object manager, the current way I was querying data with the tools I had. I needed to chain queries. I needed to have a better auto-completion and so on. I needed to document my code, so I have worked on stuff to explore code and so on. So there is a number of features that were built upon things I needed, and I tried to package this so other people could reuse it if need be. So that gives you some ideas on stuff you can build. And here is a stack. So basically, there is a foundation that's a web extension, so not necessarily dedicated to Chrome. That's natively multi-org, right? And it's built on React. It's built on TypeScript, on JSForce, which is a very nice open source module we have in the ecosystem. On top of that, there is advanced user experience solutions I use to manipulate tables. Some very cool table components I found into the ecosystem on a cool code editor called Ace Editor. And on top of that, on top of this pyramid, there is a Salesforce UX to give you the experience you expect as a Salesforce user. So natively, people don't realize it's either Salesforce or the extension itself. So that's the architecture. Okay, and more recently, I developed a new extension that's called Salesforce Explorer Advanced Setup, which is basically the same UI as the setup, but with advanced capability to be able to help you get information. For example, when you create a pset, you'll be able to see the last modified permission set in your org, so you can compare what you're doing, and maybe checking what you're doing is consistent with what people have done. It's adding some message, like here message you will get from your design authority, like you have to follow a given convention. That's new from this extension. It just added that information into your Salesforce page. It's added a placeholder here to say that if you don't provide a description, that's something you'll not be able to promote. The idea is like a bit recycling. Today you go too late into the deployment, you start doing something, and you'll be catched upon by PMD or something, but it's too late. You will not be able to deliver. It's too late. So you try to prevent the user from doing mistake directly from keying the information. So that's the principle. The architecture is this is a bit lighter than the other module. It's basically a foundation that's on top of web extension with storage. You have TypeScript, DOM chef on the. It's directly embedded into your Salesforce, where there is no new application. So your own Salesforce pages are going to be modified. You can customize some of this, right, to say what messages you want or what type of customization you want into the options of your app. That's an example. All right, that's already time for you to see into more detail how it's done. So I'll show you some code. Yes. Hey, yeah, you want it, you have it, right? So this is all the options you have with the Chrome architecture. There is a lot of components, right? So challenge accepted. Shall we do this? Yeah, we'll do this, but you'll see into an example, a more practical example to that that will help you understand in more detail this, and maybe you will go back to that to see in more detail what you need. But the idea already, when you create an extension, you define a file called manifest.json, which will point toward the different components you'll use into your app. So if you use a page action, if you use a browser action, if you use a background script, and so on. What you need for Salesforce extension is usually a background script and a content script, and that's all. The permission you need is mainly the cookie permission, right? And you need the cookie permission on the Salesforce host you use. So here I've put everything that's at salesforce.com. Then you can add some content scripts that would be specific towards matching a number of pages. So here I've done this extension that's only towards the new permission set page. So only this page will get my extension and will be modified by this. So it's fairly limited towards this part, but you can target different pages and different scripts with this technique. So fairly simple. You remember this the first slide here into code. This is what you need. So it's much lighter. As you can see, this is enough for you to be able to do your own extension and add some pretty cool stuff. So this what you need, as I said, you need the cookie permission, so being able to read the cookie you use to communicate with Salesforce. There is a content script that's communicate with a service worker to retrieve the cookie, and that's it. You inject the script into your Salesforce page, like the new permission, and you can do your own customization. That's it. The content script is basically the applicative part of your app. You can retrieve the cookie by sending a message to the background script, and you send a message. What you have to write here on the background script, you have to write on the message, for example, get session, read from the Chrome API, read the cookie, and then once you have the cookie, you can directly instantiate GSForce, and you're good to go. You can go on that will be something you can use on your web page. And the rest basically is DOM manipulation, so fairly straightforward stuff. What did you say, right? What is DOM manipulation, right? Don't jump too fast, right? If you are a junior JavaScript programmer, don't try to directly jump into React, into TypeScript, those stuff. Stay basic and learn the the basics of HTML and JavaScript. There is very good free course I recommend is JavaScript 30. I've done it myself, and this is really helpful for you to get started, right? So I'd suggest you do that. There is something I prepared for you. You can have a look at if you want to build your own extension. It's a GitHub repo that lists out all of the material you need to read and know about creating your web extension. So it contains boilerplates, it contains reference of code we have for Salesforce, but not only, right? This is something that you can use, and I prepared based on some material I found on the GitHub. So very nice, cool. Something you have to understand with building your own extension is you request permissions. On this means that when you install an extension, this permission will be required to the user. So as a takeaway, remember to be careful when you see something like this, right? It means like the extension has requested some APIs, some permissions, and it means like it can read or modify your page. So be careful not to take any extension that does too many things that you will not necessarily expect. So yes, there is a security review, but one has to focus on what you really need, right? That's for me that's important. Are you ready to create your own extension? It's going to be, wait for it, legendary. But thank you. And some last quote you can use on this last one from the show. So when I'm sad, I stop being sad and being awesome instead. And that's a true story. So keep that. Hopefully, you keep that in mind. So thank you. If you want to have a look at Salesforce Explorer, there is a YouTube channel, and you're welcome to have a look and submit a review. That would be very nice of you. Thank you. Bye.